stop scrolling, because the quarter you've ignored your entire life could be hiding big money right now. I'm serious. A single 1986 Washington quarter, the kind you spent without thinking, has shocked collectors by selling for thousands of dollars, and in rare error cases, has become a true hidden treasure that changes lives overnight. Here's the mystery. The year 1986 sits in a strange, overlooked zone in U.S. coin history. It wasn't a celebration year. It wasn't a redesign year. And because of that, almost no one paid attention. But behind the scenes, the U.S. Mint was under pressure, high demand, aging equipment, and rush production. That's when mistakes slip through, and mistakes are where life-changing value is born. Most people think all Washington quarters before 1965 are silver and everything after is boring. That assumption has cost people real money. Because while 1986 quarters are supposed to be copper-nickel clad, a tiny number were struck incorrectly, imperfectly, or under conditions that turned ordinary change into collector gold. Let me pull you into a real story. A collector in the southern U.S. sent in a strange-looking 1986 quarter he'd pulled from a coin roll. It looked slightly off color, heavier than normal. Grading confirmed it was struck on the wrong planchet. That coin didn't just surprise him. It sold for over $4,000. From a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Now lean in, because this is where you need to start checking your coins. First, the basics. Look at the date. It must read 1986. Next, check the mint mark just to the right of Washington's ponytail. A P means Philadelphia. A D means Denver. Both mints produced errors, and both can carry big money if the right traits appear. Now flip the coin over and study the eagle. This is where one of the most hunted errors lives. Some 1986 quarters show dramatic die cracks running through the eagle's wings or body. These cracks look like raised lightning bolts. Heavy examples regularly sell for $300 to $800, and extreme cracks, where the die was near failure, can push past $1,500. But don't blink yet, because the next surprise is even bigger. Look closely at the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." On rare 1986 double die obverse quarters, these letters appear doubled, thick, and shadowed. This is not wear. This is a minting error caused during die creation. Strong double die examples have sold for $1,000 to $3,000, depending on clarity and condition. That's hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. Now reset your attention, because most people miss this one completely. The rim. Run your finger around the edge of your quarter. Does it feel uneven? Is part of the rim missing or flat? Some 1986 quarters were struck with collar errors, causing partial rims or distorted edges. These coins look wrong, and collectors love wrong. Documented sales show prices from $500 to over $2,000 for dramatic rim errors. And here's where things get emotional. Color matters. A normal 1986 quarter should have a silver-gray surface with a visible copper stripe on the edge. But some coins appear unusually dark, pale, or even slightly golden. That can signal improper alloy mixing or wrong planchet errors. When authenticated, these coins explode in value. Wrong planchet 1986 quarters have crossed $5,000 at major auctions. Let me hit you with another true auction shock. High grade matters more than most people realize, because in 1986, few collectors saved pristine quarters. Most were spent. That means top condition survivors are rare. A 1986 P. Washington quarter graded MS-68 has sold for over $2,000. Same coin, same year, completely different universe of value. And here's the part that gives veteran collectors chills. They're believed to be undiscovered transitional and off-metal errors from 1986, still in circulation today. These are the kinds of coins that don't just bring hundreds, they bring big money and instant credibility in the collector world. Offsetter strikes from 1986 are another sleeper hit. If Washington's portrait is pushed toward the edge and the date is fully visible, values can range from $600 to $2,500, depending on how dramatic the strike is. The uglier the error, the prettier the price. Now, let me ask you something important. How many quarters have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Thousands? Tens of thousands? Statistically, people have already spent coins worth a used car, maybe more. That's why this coin hurts. Because stop what you're doing right now. Because a quarter in your pocket could be hiding big money. And I'm not talking about $5 or $10. I'm talking about hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, prices so shocking they change lives. The coin is the 1966 Washington quarter, and most people have spent it without ever knowing what they just gave away. Here's what makes this terrifying. Over 800 million of these quarters were made. That's almost 1 billion coins. And yet, some of them are so rare today that collectors fight over them like buried pirate gold. The rest? They vanish into circulation, lost forever. This coin comes from one of the strangest periods in U.S. mint history. In the mid-1960s, America was facing a massive coin shortage. People were hoarding silver coins, melting them, hiding them, stacking them. The government panicked. So in 1965, the U.S. Mint removed silver from quarters and switched to a copper-nickel composition. The public was furious. And to make things even stranger, the Mint removed all mint marks from coins between 1965 and 1967 to stop collectors from hoarding specific mints. So the 1966 quarter has no mint mark at all, no D, no S, no P, just silence. And that silence created one of the most mysterious modern coins in American history. Because during this chaotic period, mistakes exploded. The mint rushed production. Machines were worn. Dyes were overused. Quality control collapsed. And that's when the hidden treasure was born. Let's start with the first shock. A normal 1966 quarter in worn condition is worth face value. But in perfect condition, graded MS-67 or higher, one sold for over $3,500. Same coin, same year, different condition. Suddenly it becomes big money. Now reset your attention, because this next one changes everything. There are 1,966 quarters struck on silver planchets. That means silver blanks left over from 1964 accidentally fed into the machines. These coins look slightly different, brighter, whiter, heavier. They weigh more than normal. They ring differently when dropped, and when authentic, they sell for $7,000 to $20,000 plus. One verified example sold for nearly $19,000. A quarter, worth more than a used car. Now here's the terrifying part. Most people would never notice. They'd think it's just a shiny coin. That's how hidden treasure disappears. Now let's talk about one of the most famous 1966 errors, the double die obverse. This happens when the design is struck twice, slightly misaligned. Look closely at In God We Trust. Liberty, the date 1966. If the letters look thick, shadowed, or doubled, you could be holding a coin worth $400 to $2,500, depending on strength and condition. Collectors have found these in old piggy banks. Now reset again, because this one is brutal. The 1966 quarter struck on a penny planchet. Yes, a quarter design on a cent blank. It's smaller, thinner, reddish in color, and looks completely wrong. One of these sold at auction for over $1. Stop scrolling right now, because the next coin I'm about to tell you about has turned pocket change into big money. And if you've ever touched a quarter in your life, you could be holding a hidden treasure without even knowing it. I'm talking about the 1970 Washington quarter, a coin so misunderstood, so mysterious, that the right one could be worth hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, truly life-changing value. Here's the part that gives collectors chills. In 1970, America was in transition. Silver coins were disappearing from circulation. The U.S. Mint was under pressure, and mistakes were happening behind closed doors. The public never knew it at the time, but some 1970 quarters should not exist the way they do. And when coins exist that were never supposed to exist, collectors pay insane money. Most people think the 1970 quarter is boring. They see George Washington. They see the eagle on the back, and they spend it without a second thought. That's exactly why this coin is dangerous. The value isn't obvious. The value hides in the details. And those details have created hidden treasure stories that still shock the coin world today. Let me tell you about a collector who bought a small bag of old quarters at a flea market for almost nothing. He noticed one 1970 quarter looked just slightly different, slightly heavier, slightly wrong. He sent it for grading, and that single coin later sold for over $8,000. One quarter. That's big moan hiding in plain sight. Now listen carefully, because this is where you need to slow down and learn how to identify the valuable ones. First, check the date. It must say 1970. Then look just below Washington's neck on the front. Do you see a mint mark? If there's no mint mark, it was struck in Philadelphia. If there's a D, it came from Denver. If there's an S, now your heart rate should go up because San Francisco strikes are where the real mystery begins. Most 1970 S quarters were proof coins, never meant for circulation, but a small number escaped into the wild. Proof quarters have mirror-like fields and razor-sharp details. If you find a 1970 S quarter that looks unusually shiny, reflective, and sharp, you could be staring at life-changing value. Proof examples in top condition have sold for $3,000 to over $6,000 at major auctions. But now let's talk about the error that makes collectors lose their minds. The 1970 quarter struck on a silver planchet. By 1970, quarters were supposed to be copper-nickel clad. No silver. Zero. But leftover silver blanks from 1964 and earlier somehow made their way into the presses. When that happened, history was created. A genuine 1970 quarter struck on a silver planchet weighs more and has a solid silver edge with no visible copper stripe. One verified example sold for over $10,500 at auction. That is not hype. That is documented big money. Here's how you can check yours at home. Look at the edge of the coin. A normal clad quarter shows a copper-colored stripe. A silver planchet quarter does not. It looks solid silver all the way through. That single detail can mean the difference between 25 cents and a life-changing value. Now, let me reset your attention with another shocker. Double die errors. On some 1970 quarters, the letters and numbers appear doubled, especially in God We Trust, Liberty, or the date itself. These are not machine damage. These are mint errors created during the die-making process. Strong double-die 1970 quarters have sold for $500 to $2,500, depending on clarity and condition. And it doesn't stop there. Off-center strikes from 1970 are highly collectible. If Washington's face is pushed toward the edge, or part of the design is missing entirely, that's not damage. That's an error. Dramatic off-center 1970 quarters have brought $300 to $1,200 at auction. Now let me tell you about clip planchets. These coins look like someone took a bite out of them. In reality, it's a metal cutting error at the mint. A clean, curved clip on a 1970 quarter can easily sell for $200 to $800, sometimes more if paired with another error. And here's one that almost nobody checks. Rim errors. Look closely at the edge of the coin. Is the rim uneven, missing, or thicker on one side? Some 1970 quarters were struck with partial or missing rims, and collectors pay serious big money for these strange survivors of mint chaos. Auction records prove this isn't fantasy. A high-grade 1970 D quarter with a major error sold through a well-known auction house for nearly $4,000. Another 1970 S-proof error crossed $6,500 after intense bidding. These aren't myths. These are real sales creating real wealth. And here's the most dangerous part of this story. These coins are still out there. They are still being found in old collections, inherited jars, and forgotten drawers. That's why this quarter is a true hidden treasure. The supply is unknown. The demand is growing. And every year, prices climb higher. If you're holding a 1970 Washington quarter, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't assume it's worthless. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Examine the color. Study the edge. Feel the weight. One tiny difference can mean the difference between spare change and life-changing value. Right now, somewhere, someone is unknowingly spending a coin that could change their life. Don't let that be you. After this video, go check your quarters, check your parents' coins, check old jars, albums, and drawers. And here's the cliffhanger. Because the next coin I'm covering has an even darker mystery and even bigger auction records than this one. If you don't want to miss the next big money coin hiding in plain sight, hit subscribe right now, because your hidden treasure might be closer than you think.